Welcome back to Movieville. Before we get started, I would appreciate it if you would take a moment out of your day to subscribe to my channel, and please don't forget to like the video and leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. It really helps me out. I appreciate you. Our story starts off at a building site. It's Hudson University's new dorm building. We see two workers heading into work. While putting their lunch and jackets away, they hear bottles passing. They go to tell them they have to leave. They see a girl crying, asking them not to hurt her. She's tied up with duct tape. They comfort her and tell her she's going to be okay, and they call the police and an ambulance because she is clearly hurt. One of the guys says he knows her face. He reads the newspaper and has seen her in the papers for the last few days, saying that she is missing. Her name is Tandy McCain. We hear the detectives talk about how she has been missing for days and that Tandy just told them that she was R-worded. Before Tandy even leaves the building, news reporters are there. The construction workers called them right after they called the police, so her stepfather saw it on the news and rushes to her. He doesn't want her to go to the hospital because she says she does not want to go. He is adamant that she needs to be home, and he will bring her to the hospital later. Detective Stabler and Detective Benson try to convince him that she has to go to the hospital immediately. Detective Benson says that because she is a minor, she has to go to the hospital under the social service law, which requires her to have a medical examination. Tandy is crying and begging her stepfather to not let them take her. Later, we find out that there is no such law. Detective Stabler says that Benson has crossed the line, and better hope the stepfather who did this to her to get away with it. Captain Donald Cragen shows up. He's conflicted because he's proud of Benson for taking Tandy to the hospital, but now the father knows she lied and is telling the press about it. She said she did the right thing to protect the victim. She had no other choice. Captain Donald tells them the stepfather is threatening to withhold the R-word kit because his daughter just wants to leave. He says he's not taking Benson off the case, but she needs to stay away from Mr. McCain for now because he is furious with her, so she goes to talk with Tandy's mother instead. Detective Stabler convinces the father to let them do a R-word kit on her. Detective Stabler asked her what happened. Tandy is a 16-year-old high school student. She's taking an advanced placement course at a library for a few weeks during the summer so she can get more college credits for Columbia University. She finished work late that night. She was on her way to catch her bus home. She said 2 or 3 men stopped her and asked if she wanted to go to a party with them. She said no and kept walking. It was dark, so she couldn't see what they looked like. All she remembers is that they were wearing uniforms. They grabbed her, dragged her into the building site, and R-worded her. They told her if she tried to escape, they would unalive her. She had been there for 3 days. She won't tell the detective anything else. She wants to go home. They couldn't gather any DNA from her because the attackers were wearing protection. Captain Ronald says, "Can we prove it was a R-word?" Benson says her thighs were badly bruised and her hymen is torn. She was a virgin and she definitely was R-worded. They find out that police broke up a fight at a party at a dorm across the road from where she was attacked on the night she went missing. The college was packed with Army cadets who were there taking summer classes in military leadership. They were in uniform. Tandy said the guys who attacked her were in uniform, so the detectives think they have a good start in finding the attackers. They go to the college and demand the names of every cadet who is staying there for the summer. They get a call from the campus security guard who broke up the party at the dorm that night, and he gave the detectives the names of 4 guys who were involved in the fight across from where Tandy was attacked. They go to talk with the first guy. They ask him if he knows Tandy. He said he saw her at the party Friday night. She invited herself. They talk to the second guy, and he's shocked to hear that she's only 16 because she told them she was 21. The third guy says she acted like she was 21. She was drinking alcohol and dancing, and it seems like she was having a good night. He said he has a girlfriend, so he didn't dance with her or talk with her. The fourth guy says he saw Tandy but didn't see her leave the party, so he couldn't give them any helpful information. Detective Stabler and Benson are wondering why Tandy lied about going straight from work to the bus stop. She didn't mention anything about a party. They go to talk to her. The detectives told her that they knew she was at the party and asked why she lied. Her father butts in and says no, she wasn't at any party. They reassured Tandy that they are on her side and only want to help her, but she has to be honest with them. She says she wasn't partying anywhere that night. She gets annoyed and storms off. The captain is confused and doesn't believe Tandy about not being at the party. Obviously, it's awful that she was R-worded, but she is clearly lying about something. The captain says he has a press conference tomorrow at 9, and he wants to have some sort of update about the attackers before that. They decided to give the press a little information, hoping that it would spark some sort of lead to who they were looking for. Maybe someone was around that night, or maybe someone else at the party had information without even realizing it, and hopefully they will come forward. Stabler is talking with an old friend of his about the case. He covered similar cases, so Stabler asked for advice on how to talk to the press. He asks him why Tandy's case is so big in the media. Thousands and thousands of people go missing every year, yet Tandy's story blew up. He says it's because she's young, cute, and white. Unfortunately, the media loves to blow up cases about girls that look like her, just like they did with Chandra Levy and Elizabeth Smart. The next day, Detective Benson is upset to hear that his friend printed a photo and the names of 2 of the cadets who were at the party. They then get a call from one of the cadets' girlfriends saying that she and her boyfriend Joe, who is one of the cadets who was at the party, were walking down the street, and a bunch of men chased him into traffic saying they saw him in the papers. They were calling him an R-word. He tried to run from them, but sadly, he got hit by a car and was seriously injured. His girlfriend is heartbroken and confused at why the papers printed his picture. She said he didn't do anything and that he would never hurt anyone. The detectives go looking for the men who chased him. They get news from the hospital that he has survived. He is in a coma, but he is stable and he will make it. Detective Stabler feels guilty because he trusted his friend with that information, but he's relieved to hear the cadet will make it. The chief police officer is really mad at him and gives him a warning. Stabler is pissed off and goes to confront his reporter friend for betraying him. He tells Stabler that the information was already out there and that he just wrote about it first. He apologizes and says he has a lead for him. He was contacted by a store owner who owns a bodega. The guy told him that Tandy was in his store Saturday, the day after she went missing. They go to talk with him. He says she was acting suspicious and was very jumpy. She bought a few things and left. They go back to the evidence that was found at the crime scene, and there they found the food wrappers she bought at the store. So now they know she left the construction site, but she then returned and stayed a few more days. They go to talk to Tandy again. She said she told the attackers she was hungry, so they walked her to the store to get food and then brought her back. They said if she told anyone they were waiting for her outside, they would kill her. She then picks 2 guys out of the pictures the detectives showed her and says it was them who R-worded her. Later, we see a video surface and it's about to be aired on the news channel. It's of Tandy dancing at the dorm party the night that she was supposedly held captive. They go looking for the person who recorded the video in the hopes that he might have more information. He was one of the cadets they had already talked to. He has no new information. He said he saw her at the party. She felt sick. Then she left. He swears that he didn't follow her when she left and that he didn't go near her all night. They talk to her father again, saying that she may be lying. Stabler gets mad at the father and says that one of the most common reasons women make false R-word allegations is to explain away for a consensual sexual encounter when confronted by a boyfriend or a parent. Stabler is starting to get a strange vibe off of him and tells Benson that maybe the stepfather is the one who is guilty, and Tandy is too scared to say it. They pulled handprints that were found on a stack of sheetrock in the building where Tandy was held captive. It was a match for Ronald's prints. They say now his behavior is making sense. That's why he didn't want them to talk to her. They are confused about why he would bring her to the building site if he had access to her every day at home. Ronald works in construction too. They talk to Ronald's boss, Mike. He said Ronald had a heart attack a year ago, so he took him off of construction and made him a yard foreman instead. And he said he's a great worker. He told them when Ronald met Tandy's mom 8 years ago that there were some allegations, but it was all sorted out. He didn't know what it was about. He says Ron loves Tandy like she's his own daughter and that he'd never dream of hurting her. Detectives did some more digging and found out that in 1995 there was a complaint made by Tandy. She was 7. She told the police that she was essayed by Ronald. Ronald said that Tandy's father put her up to it because he was jealous that he was married to his ex-wife. The cops later dropped charges because Tandy withdrew the allegations. They asked him to explain why his handprints were in the room where Tandy was R-worded at the building site. He said that his company supply sheet rock, so that's how it must have gotten there. Stabler says to him that he thinks that with his wife being pregnant, it must be difficult to ignore that Tandy is a beautiful, grown-up girl now and that he has been wanting her for years. And when she didn't come home that night, he must have gone looking for her. He thinks that when he saw her coming out of the party drunk, he did what he always wanted to do. Ronald is getting angrier and angrier, and he hits the detective. They arrested him for assaulting a police officer, but he was later released on bail. Later, Stabler feels bad for how he talked to Ronald because what if he's wrong? He said if someone talked to me like that about my daughter, I would hit them too. While Stabler and his captain are having drinks after work, they see a breaking news story on TV. It's an interview with Tandy. She said she made the whole thing up and that she wasn't R-worded by anyone. She said she stayed out late that night and was scared that she would get into trouble, and before she knew it, it all got out of hand. She said she's so sorry about the cadet who is in a coma at the hospital. She feels like it's her fault because he wouldn't have been chased by those men if it wasn't for her lies. She said the police showed her their pictures and made her name them. The captain tells Stabler to arrest her for filing a false report and for nearly getting an innocent cadet unalived because of her lies. She obstructed them every step of the way. They need to make a lesson out of her. They say that it's people like her who make it harder for real victims to come forward and to be believed. Benson is convinced that something isn't right and that she feels like Tandy was R-worded. She feels like she's not telling them the truth. She is convinced that her stepfather made her lie in the interview. Later, Stabler tells Ron that if he has nothing to hide, they'll let them talk to her alone. Detective Benson talks to her alone. He says she saw the bruises on her and that she knows she was R-worded. Tandy eventually breaks down and says it was her stepfather's boss, Mike. She said she saw him after leaving the party. He told her that she was beautiful. He R-worded her twice that night, then told her that if she told anyone, she would ruin her family's life and that she would be the cause of her stepfather's death because he has a bad heart. She loves her stepfather, so that's why she lied. She was confused and scared and believed everything Mike told her. Ron is shocked by this. They interview Mike, and he looks shocked to hear this and says that it's simply not true. He says he has known Tandy since she was 8, and he sees her as a daughter, and that what they are saying is absolutely disgusting. He says that he doesn't even believe that Tandy said this about him, that she's scared of the detectives, so that's why she is lying and blaming everyone close to her. We see it go to trial, and Mike could possibly go to prison for many years. We hear Tandy telling the court what happened that night, and Mike is just staring at her. Her stepfather is crying listening to this. Mike was later found not guilty due to lack of evidence. As Tandy is walking out of court, we see a girl called Allison Luhan walk towards her and she thanks Tandy for being brave. She then walks over to Detective Benson and Stabler and says she wants to report an R-word. She said Mike Tucker had R-worded her 6 months ago. So I guess Tandy was telling the truth after all, and her stepfather did love her, and he was only trying to protect her by doing what she wanted, even if it was wrong at first. If there were a part 2, I bet Mike would have gone to trial on new charges and been arrested for sure. So that's it, our story ends there. Please feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments section down below. I'm curious to hear what you thought of this movie. Anyway, till next time guys, take care.